In the quiet village of Umuofia, nestled deep in the heart of Igboland, life moves at its own gentle pace. The sun rises over green hills, casting golden light on palm trees swaying softly in the morning breeze. This village is home to dreams and traditions, to laughter and struggles, just like many others across Africa. Today, I bring you a story from this village, a story that holds lessons for young girls, boys, and even adults, a story about choices, consequences, and courage. But before we begin, please subscribe, share, and comment, so you never miss a story that touches the heart and teaches the soul. This is the story of Adaeze, a girl who found herself pregnant at 16, and the journey she walked through shadows and light. Adaeze wasn't just any girl, she was the pride of her family, the star student, the one everyone said would change the world. But when Emeka came into her life, with that easy smile and wild charm, everything shifted. They met in secret under the old Iroko tree, their whispered promises floating on the warm night air. But secrets in a small village don't stay secrets for long. In the heart of Igboland, wrapped in the arms of sprawling forest and misty hills, lies the peaceful village of Umuofia. The early morning sun peeks over the palm trees, casting long shadows on mud houses with thatched roofs. Birds sing, and the soft hum of the marketplace slowly awakens. Here, tradition runs deep, ancient customs guiding every step of life. Adaeze, a lively 16-year-old, steps out of her family's compound. Her eyes sparkle with youthful dreams, and her heart beats with hope. Today, like every other day, she walks barefoot along the dusty path toward the village secondary school, her school bag bouncing lightly against her back. At school, Adaeze is more than just a student, she is a bright star. Teachers praise her diligence, classmates admire her kindness. She dreams fiercely, to become a nurse, to care for her community, to bring pride to her family. But even bright stars sometimes flicker when shadows cross their path. Emeka is the kind of boy every girl notices. 2 years older, with a mischievous grin and a laugh that fills the air like sunshine. He is popular, bold, and fearless. When Emeka looks at Adaeze, his eyes hold a different kind of light, one that promises secrets and adventure. One afternoon, under the large Iroko tree near the village square, Emeka and Adaeze share their first secret meeting. Their voices are whispers, their hands shyly brushing. In this quiet sanctuary, a friendship blossoms into something deeper, fragile but intoxicating. Their meetings become frequent, stolen moments between school and chores, when the village seems to pause and hold its breath. Adaeze feels alive, cherished. For the first time, she believes someone sees her not just as a girl from Umuofia, but as a woman with a beating heart. But the village is a close-knit web of watchful eyes. Gossip travels faster than the wind. When Adaeze's secret slips, the shockwaves ripple through every corner of Umuofia. Adaeze is with child, the village elders whisper, shaking their heads in disapproval. Fear and shame descend on Adaeze's family like a heavy rain. Her mother, Nneka, struggles between heartbreak and fierce love. One evening, sitting under the flickering light of an oil lamp, Adaeze confesses. Tears stream down her mother's face, but her arms wrap tightly around her daughter, a fortress of protection. Emeka, the boy who once promised the moon and stars, disappears like a shadow at sunset. No calls, no visits. Adaeze is left alone to carry a burden she never asked for, in a world that quickly turns its back. School becomes a battlefield. Whispers follow Adaeze like ghosts. Friends avoid her gaze. Teachers glance away, unsure whether to scold or sympathize. The dreams she held so tightly begin to feel like fragile glass, trembling on the edge of breaking. Nneka, Adaeze's mother, was a woman hardened by years of struggle yet softened by the love she held for her only daughter. She knelt beside Adaeze's bed one evening, taking her trembling hands in hers. "My child," she whispered, "life has tested us both, but you are not alone." The village elders gathered soon after, their faces grim with disappointment. The weight of tradition pressed heavily upon Adaeze's family. To them, a pregnant girl so young was a mark of shame that could stain the entire community. Despite their judgment, Nneka stood tall. She vowed to protect Adaeze, to fight for her right to live with dignity and hope. It was a battle fought in whispers and glances, a silent war of love against scorn. Emeka's absence was a wound that throbbed with every heartbeat. When Adaeze sought him, he was nowhere to be found, like a mirage that vanished the closer you tried to reach it. The months passed slowly, each day marked by the growing life within Adaeze's belly and the growing whispers that followed her like a shadow. School became a lonely path, a place where her laughter was swallowed by silence. Yet, Adaeze held on to fragments of hope. With every prenatal visit at the village clinic, with every heartbeat she heard from the child inside her, she felt a quiet strength stirring within. Her friends' faces turned away, but a few remained, the kind who looked beyond gossip and saw the brave girl fighting to reclaim her future. Their presence was a balm for Adaeze's aching spirit. One evening, under the heavy sky before a rainstorm, Adaeze sat by the riverbank. The cool water whispered ancient lullabies as she traced the gentle curve of her belly, dreaming of the child she would soon hold. Her mind wandered to Emeka, the boy who had promised everything but gave nothing but silence. The betrayal stung, but Adaeze knew she had to rise above the pain, not let it bury her dreams. The village held its breath as the day of birth approached. Adaeze's family gathered around her, a mix of worry, hope, and a fragile joy that life was still unfolding, despite the harsh road they traveled. The night Adaeze went into labor, the village was cloaked in silence, save for the occasional crackle of thunder in the distance. The midwife, an elderly woman with years of wisdom etched in her wrinkles, arrived swiftly, her lantern casting flickering shadows on the mud walls. Pain and hope intertwined as Adaeze gripped her mother's hand. Every contraction was a battle, every breath a prayer. Outside, the rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavy, washing the earth as if to cleanse the burdens carried within it. Hours later, a cry pierced the night, strong, clear, and full of life. Adaeze's baby girl was born. Her tiny body wrapped in a warm cloth, she was a miracle that shimmered through the darkness like a beacon. They named her Kayameka, God is beautiful. A name that spoke of hope, resilience, and the promise of new beginnings amid the shadows of judgment. In those early days, the village's cold stares softened ever so slightly. Some whispered words of encouragement, while others remained distant, unwilling to erase the scar of scandal. Adaeze, cradling Kayameka, felt a fierce love she had never known. The tiny heartbeat against her chest was a reminder that she was no longer alone, that her story was now intertwined with another's. But the path ahead was steep and uncertain. Returning to school was not simple. Many doors were closed, many voices raised in disapproval. Yet, Adaeze was determined. Her dreams refused to die. With her mother's unwavering support, she petitioned the school principal, her voice steady despite the pounding of her heart. I will continue, she said, for me, for my daughter, for the future we both deserve. Slowly, the halls that once echoed with judgment began to fill with cautious respect. Teachers who had doubted her resolve now saw the quiet strength that refused to be broken. Adaeze's days became a balancing act, textbooks in one hand, Kayameka's small fingers in the other. Nights were spent studying by flickering candlelight, dreams burning brighter than the darkness surrounding her. As seasons changed, so did Adaeze. The carefree girl who once chased dreams without fear now carried the weight of responsibility with quiet grace. Her laughter came less often, but when it did, it was richer, woven with the threads of experience and hope. Kayameka grew strong and curious, her eyes reflecting the same fire that burned within her mother. Together, they navigated the small joys and daily struggles of village life, finding beauty even in the hardest moments. Word of Adaeze's perseverance spread beyond Umuofia. Nearby villages whispered tales of the girl who refused to be broken, who faced shame and rose above it. Some came to offer support, others to challenge tradition. But for Adaeze, the true battle was within. Doubts crept in during the quiet nights. Was she enough? Could she truly build the future she dreamed of, with a child depending on her every step? Her mother's words became a lifeline. Strength is not the absence of fear, Nneka said one evening, but the courage to face it. You have that courage, Adaeze. Schoolwork remained a refuge. In the pages of her books, Adaeze found words where she could escape momentarily, where hope was not just a word but a path forward. Teachers began to see her not just as a student with a past, but as a woman with a future she was determined to claim. One day, during an exam, Adaeze caught the eye of a younger girl staring with awe. It was a silent moment, but in that glance was a message: your story is more than your mistakes. Slowly, bridges mended. Some former friends returned, their apologies sincere, their support a balm for wounds left open too long. The village itself began to shift, inch by inch, toward understanding. But not everyone was ready to forgive. Old judgments lingered in shadows, reminding Adaeze that growth often comes with resistance. Still, she pressed on, for herself, for Kayameka, for every girl who might walk a similar path. One afternoon, as the sun dipped low behind the hills, Adaeze sat by the village well, watching children play in the dusty street. Among them was Ifeoma, a girl barely older than Adaeze had been when her world shifted, bright-eyed and full of questions. Ifeoma approached cautiously, her voice trembling. Adaeze, how did you find the strength to keep going? To forgive those who judged you? Adaeze smiled softly, her gaze distant yet steady. It wasn't easy. Some days I wanted to give up. But I realized my story wasn't just mine, it belonged to every girl afraid to speak, every woman fighting to be seen. Her words settled in the air like a gentle rain, nurturing hope in young hearts ready to bloom. The village slowly embraced change. Mothers who once shook their heads in disappointment now whispered encouragement. Fathers who had turned away began to nod with respect. Adaeze's determination sparked conversations about youth, about mistakes, about the power of compassion and second chances. Through it all, her family remained her anchor. Neko's quiet strength and her father's eventual forgiveness were pillars that held Adaeze steady amid the storms. One day, a letter arrived from the city, an opportunity to attend nursing school far beyond the village's borders. The offer was both a blessing and a challenge, a doorway to the future she had long dreamed of. With Kayameka in her arms and hope in her heart, Adaeze stepped toward that new chapter, aware of the road behind her and the promise of the path ahead. Her story, once written in whispers and shadows, now blazed like a beacon, a testament to resilience, to love, and to the unyielding spirit of a young girl who refused to be defined by her past. The day Adaeze left Umuofia, the village gathered at the dusty crossroads to see her off. Faces that once wore judgment now carried pride and quiet respect. Mothers clutched their children closer, telling them Adaeze's story, a story of courage. As the bus rumbled away, Adaeze's heart thumped with a mix of fear and excitement. The city was a world unlike her village, loud, fast, and filled with strangers. But it was also a place where her dreams could breathe and grow. Nursing school was demanding. Long nights filled with study, practice, and sacrifice. Yet every time exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her, Adaeze thought of Kayameka, her reason, her strength. In the crowded dormitory, she found unlikely friends, young women and men from all walks of life, each carrying their own stories of struggle and hope. Together, they formed a new kind of family, bound by dreams and determination. Adaeze's professors saw more than a student, they saw a survivor with a fire that refused to be extinguished. Her hands, once trembling with fear, grew steady and sure, healing wounds and offering comfort. Months turned into years. Adaeze learned not only about medicine but about herself, about resilience, compassion, and the power to rewrite her story. Back in Umuofia, Kayameka blossomed under the loving care of her grandparents. Their small home was filled with laughter, stories, and the hope that one day, mother and daughter would reunite as equals, strong and whole. Letters flew between Adaeze and her family like lifelines, filled with encouragement, love, and dreams waiting to be fulfilled. When Adaeze finally donned her nurse's uniform, the weight of her journey settled on her shoulders, not as a burden, but as a crown of hard-won victory. Her heart swelled with gratitude for the girl she had been, the trials she endured, and the woman she had become, a beacon for those who might one day walk the same path. Returning to Umuofia as a nurse, Adaeze was greeted with open arms and teary eyes. The village that once whispered behind her back now celebrated her as a symbol of hope, proof that mistakes do not define a person's destiny. She started a small clinic, dedicated to helping young mothers and girls who, like her, found themselves facing difficult choices. Her experience was the foundation of her compassion, her strength the pillar of her work. Kayameka, now a bright and curious child, watched her mother with pride, knowing that their story was more than survival, it was about transformation. Adaeze spoke openly to the village youth, sharing her journey, warning them of the challenges but also inspiring them to believe in second chances and self-worth. Her words carried weight because they were real, born from pain, hope, and relentless courage. Over time, the village schools introduced programs about reproductive health and life choices, a sign that Adaeze's story was sparking change beyond herself. Parents began to talk more openly with their children, and young girls and boys learned the importance of responsibility, respect, and support. Adaeze's journey, once marked by fear and uncertainty, had become a beacon lighting the path for others. And though the road had been long and difficult, every step had led her to this moment, standing tall, proud, and unbroken. In the heart of Umuofia, under the same palm trees that once witnessed whispers and judgment, Adaeze smiled. Her story was not one of shame, but of strength, a testament that even the darkest nights can give way to the brightest dawns.